My wife is unraveling, and I'm trying to protect our son while grieving the version of her I used to know. I don't even know where to start. I've been with my wife for over 6 years. We have a 2.5 years old son who is the light of my life. But for the past year, especially the last few months, everything has slowly, painfully fallen apart. And I'm reaching the point where I can't carry the weight of it all alone. I do have a therapist that I found 7 weeks ago, and I have been meeting with him weekly. In that 7 weeks, I've since been placed on an SSRI for the first time in my life, finally recognizing and owning virtually a lifetime of untreated MDD and severe anxiety, as well as some standard fare unaddressed familial trauma. It's been refreshing to discover why I was the way I was, and I'm here for it. To be the best version of me for myself and my son. However, my social network is small. Through the last 2.5 years since my son was born, I've isolated myself socially, and I have only a few people on this earth that are aware of the situation as is. So yeah, here I am getting it off of my chest. After our son was born, I wasn't the partner I should have been. I was depressed, emotionally unavailable, and I let my own internal chaos hurt the relationship. I've taken responsibility for that, in therapy, in my behavior, and in how I show up now. I've grown a lot. And I've worked hard to be and remain a steady partner and father. But by the time I started changing, she started unraveling. I found out everything on March 15th. I was at my parents' house with our son, celebrating my dad's birthday, while she was homesick. Out of nowhere, I got a text from her that clearly wasn't meant for me. It read, like, why not? He's into me. It's not like we'd fall in love or anything. But getting laid would be nice. And he's super fucking nice to me. All the time. I sat there stunned, unsure if I was misreading what I saw. When I asked her to explain, she admitted it was meant for her best friend, and after asking she sent me the screenshot of the text that came before it. I decided I'm gonna fug name redacted when Ryan and I separate. That was the moment it all broke wide open. I hadn't been told we were separating. We hadn't had an honest or recent conversation about divorce, or about seeing other people, nothing. We had been having trouble for years. 2 rounds of couples therapy throughout the 2.5 years after our son was born. And for the sake of our son, we had promised each other that if either of us checked out, that we would call a spade and have the difficult but adult conversation with each other that it needed to end. But she had already made the decision to emotionally and sexually move on, to check out in full, and I was the last one to find out, by accident. And the specifics she gave me afterward made it even worse. She told me she had woken up 2 weeks prior and realized that despite therapy and medication, she was still miserable, and decided it was entirely because of me. Her plan was to not say anything at all until after we got back from an international, all-inclusive trip for her cousin's wedding, just the 3 of us, as a family, 6 weeks after I stumbled into the truth by complete accident. That means I would have just found out right around now, or maybe not at all yet. Crazy to think. She's 38 and has a complex history, recently diagnosed ADHD and OCD, GAD with subsequent depressive episodes, unresolved trauma from both a recent incident of sexual violence, 2019, and a traumatic birth where she hemorrhaged and had to undergo emergency surgery, 2022, that has likely led to undiagnosed PTSD. And considering the clear and concerning pullback from motherhood and general negativity she expressed towards and for our son, undiagnosed postpartum. She also attempted suicide in her early/mid-20s, and expressed suicidal ideation upon acknowledging how bad her most recent bout of depression was in September 24. She's currently on Lexapro 20 mg daily and has been for some time now, Wellbutrin 150 mg XL, which she takes irregularly once every other day as she weans, that she was placed on in October 24, and Adderall 20 mg IR that she should be taking 3 times a day. But the Adderall isn't taken as prescribed, she self-adjusts, taking anywhere from 20 to 40 mg per day sporadically, stopping and starting at will. And on top of that, she has always self-medicated and avoided her problems with drinking and consuming THC. Since acknowledging that worsening depression in September 24, she was placed on Wellbutrin but was already months into a new pattern of drinking more frequently, and by relation drinking more heavily at times. There have been binge episodes, impaired judgment, irrational behavior, including an episode of physical violence against me while I was driving with our son in the car, and she has consistently driven drunk herself in all sorts of states. So, she fell for someone else, name redacted, who she met when she started her newest job at an office in May 24, and by December 24 had acknowledged or at least recognized that she might be catching feelings for him. After stuff blew up, I was desperate to not lose my family overnight, as she indicated that she would be moving out and we'd need to start parenting our son solo. After being honest about him, and with my consent since we are not separated legally and are still married and under one roof, she went ahead and freely pursued him emotionally and sexually. She said openly to me that she's using the relationship to avoid thinking about her marriage and the responsibilities of parenting. It's not about love. It's an escape for her. And the impulsivity of it all is unchecked. I watch her sleep through most mornings and afternoons. She avoids parenting time unless heavily supported. She rarely initiates care or play with our son unless prompted. She's distanced herself from her family and selectively shares with friends to keep them thinking she's fine. She hasn't been honest with her doctors either, and I can prove it, about the drinking, the meds, the chaos inside by way of a functional collapse, avoidant coping, and pulling back from marriage and motherhood, while acknowledging that she's still miserable, but has just as easily convinced herself that it's all on me. And now she wants to move out and take our son with her. Her words, out of nowhere and unprovoked, the day before Mother's Day. That's where I can't stay quiet anymore. I've watched her shut down in well under an hour of solo parenting. I've seen her completely dissociate, miss meals, avoid basic tasks, and melt down under any semblance of pressure. When drinking is involved, it's like gasoline on fire. I genuinely do not believe she is stable enough right now to parent on her own. And it's not about bitterness, it's about safety. Hers, mine, and more importantly our son's. I've kept calm as can be. I've documented everything I need to if this becomes legal. I finally went ahead and told her family the full scope of things. That I played my part in this, but she is simply not well. I've tried to show up with empathy and patience that has come out of seemingly thin air, even while navigating my own awakening in life, even when she weaponizes distance and paints me as the absolute problem. I'm grieving. I'm scared. And I'm angry. Not because she's hurting, but because she hasn't faced it, and what her ignorance has costed me, and my son. Because she keeps running. Because my son is caught in the middle of someone else's crisis and he doesn't even know it, and it's not fair to any of us. I don't want revenge. I don't want to control her. And even though she has all but convinced herself, none of this is to save our marriage. She's ruined that by going unchecked. I just want her to stop pretending she's fine and get real help, consistent, trauma-informed help. I want our son to have a version of his mom that's present, healthy, and steady. And I want to be able to breathe without feeling like I'm the last thread holding this entire situation together. So yeah, here I am getting it off of my chest.